Though many of the results from the midterm elections were disappointing, there were some bright spots for conservatives. For example, states that went big on school choice policies in recent years overwhelmingly reelected the policymakers behind those actions. Governors such as Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma, Kim Reynolds of Iowa easily won re-election with school choice among their top issues. And in Nebraska, Jim Pillen won his gubernatorial race with school choice as a centerpiece of his campaign. Could the success of these candidates and others lead to more politicians running on this winning issue? Joining me now to discuss it is Corey DeAngelis. He's the executive director of the Educational Freedom Institute and a senior fellow at the American Federation for Children. Corey, good to see you today.
Hey, good to see you.
Now, first, you worked this issue a lot. From your broad perspective, how did the issue of school choice play out in this election?
Yeah, there wasn't a red wave, there wasn't a blue wave, but there was a school choice wave. The teachers unions have finally overplayed their hand and awakened a sleeping giant, parents who just want more of a say in their kids' education. For far too long in K-12 education, the only special interest essentially represented the employees in the system. But now there's a new special interest. The kids have a union of their own, and they're called parents. 76% of the candidates supported by my organization, the American Federation for Children, won their races during the midterms. And we also targeted 69 incumbents, which is the hardest thing to do in politics. And we took out 40 of them. So the message is clear. Come out against parental rights in education and lose your job or lose your seat. Look at DeSantis. He won by over 19 points in Florida against his opponent, a Democrat, Charlie Crist, who basically told Terry McAuliffe, hold my beer, because he picked a teachers union president from Miami-Dade as his running mate as lieutenant governor. DeSantis in Miami-Dade won by 11 points, and that places a school choice haven when that same location went 7 points to Biden back in 2020. So the voters are voting at the ballot box for pro-education freedom candidates. And you don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to look at the stats from my organization. Just look no further than the liberal tears in the New Yorker magazine, where the author was crying about all of our victories by saying, education freedom supporters fared depressingly well in the midterms. Well, they can cry harder, because that's great news for parents and families and students, even if it's bad news for socialists who want to control other people's kids.
Now, Corey, I want to underscore there the numbers that I'm hearing for the first time from you, this idea that 40, you challenged 69 incumbents. Am I getting that number right? And yep. 40 of them won. And actually, one of the lessons from this election broadly was how well incumbents did across the country in general, both Republicans and Democrats. It's one of the reasons why there wasn't really a wave, is because people just, in most cases, just sent back the person they had elected. So your ability to unseat a majority of those targeted on the school choice issue really is remarkable. Why do you think that issue is resonating?
It's because parents have woken up and they're never going back to sleep. They saw what was happening in the classroom, and parents who thought that their kids were in great schools, maybe they were A-rated by the state, maybe the kid came home with good standardized test scores, or they were on the honor roll or what have you. Those same parents got to see that something else is going on. There's another dimension of school quality that's arguably more important, which is whether that school's curriculum aligns with their values. And Vodi Bakum said it best, that we got to stop sending our kids to Caesar and then act surprised when they come home as Romans. Well, the parents are no longer surprised. The jig is up. They figured it out. They've woken up. They're never going back to sleep. And parents are the new special interest group in town. And that's going to be good news in the future, especially because politicians don't listen to logic. And that's unfortunate. They listen to power dynamics, and these parents have sparked a parent revolution that we've all been waiting for. And it's absolutely glorious to see how this is going to unfold for years to come.
And let's talk about how this is going to unfold. A couple years ago, West Virginia had what was then the most sweeping school choice program that was passed in that state. Last year, Arizona bested that one with an education savings account that gives $7,500 for every child to the parents to decide how that's going to be used. Where do you see this issue moving in 2023?
Yeah, so Arizona went all in, and parents basically broke the government website by flooding the application system because families want this. I mean, you could look at polls and say, oh, yeah, vast majority of Republicans, Democrats, and independents support school choice. They all get that. But look at when choice is actually offered to parents. That's the true test. And Arizona is showing that this is highly popular among families. Tens of thousands of families applied in just the first couple of months of the application window, even after the school year started. So I think this will start in GOP leaning areas. And look, Arizona did this with 1-seat majorities in their House and Senate controlled by the Republican Party. Well, what about Texas? Texas has much stronger majorities. They should have no problem getting it done this session. This is a top 8 Texas GOP legislative priority coming up, and an 88% of Texas Republican primary voters support school choice, according to the Republican primary ballot in March of 2022. Abbott has come out forcefully on the issue to support the funding following the child, saying that this will be the biggest push in Texas history for school choice that we've ever seen. So I think the red states will follow first, but then the blue states are going to have to come along at some point. I mean, look at Governor Pritzker in Illinois and Attorney General Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, who both won their elections earlier this month. They both changed their education platform, or at least changed their stance on school choice less than 2 months before the election. And you might wonder, well, why did they do that? Was it really a true change of heart, or was it because they were reading the tea leaves? My response to that is, well, it doesn't really matter too much about what actually happened as to why they changed their stance. Both, whatever the reason, it's good news for parents going forward that there could be more bipartisan support on this in the future, but only if the GOP leads on the issue. They have to make it politically disastrous for Democrats to oppose it, like with what happened with Terry McAuliffe in Virginia, who lost to Glenn Youngkin on the issue of education. So this could lead to more widespread bipartisan support. And look, Milton Friedman, Nobel laureate economist, said it best. He said a lot of things in great ways, but he notably said that it's not about getting the right people into office. It's about creating a political climate of public opinion that makes it politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right things.
Corey
DeAngelis, I think
DeAngelis,
that's what's happening.
thanks for being with us. We're out of time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.